had of it, I thought looked really well, and it was, you know, it functions the way we want it to. Just the $1 million, the $2 million bridges to me seems out of range with the budgeting the purposes that we have right now. That, you know, some are spoken for at this time. It's, you know, some are not. Some are going to be a surprise at the cost. You know, we still got to do the Nancy Drive, and that's got to be that right there has to be priority for us. And until we get some of that taken care of, I can't see moving ahead to $1 million or $2 million bridges.
If you focus on just the one bridge, the only money in the engineering costs that I've spoken of that you will reduce is the initial $18,000. The rest of the other two reports will remain the same because the same amount of work has to be done on them.
And I never was really clear about that, but what's the difference in schematic design and the construction design? If we're talking about, if we pick the bridge and we got it reduced by a third, would that not move forward to an engineering design? That would be the last and final step, which would make it a two-step process instead of a three?
The schematic design includes technical drawings of the top and side view of the bridge, of the chosen bridge. The plan will be defined, the geographic position would be profiled, info on how wide and how tall would be provided, and all the items that go into the project would be identified without specific detail. The construction documents are the final plans, the elevations, the sections, the details and specifications from which to use to build the project. How to mix the cement. So they're both important entities. Unfortunately, the information that you folks had to read ahead of time is it's been changed. It's a little outdated now. I have talked to Mr. Sparks and gotten additional information since then.
It seems like the schematic design, and I'm not an engineer, so I don't know, but it seems like before in the past projects we've done, schematic design and construction design is all done in one engineering package. That's what I don't understand the difference in these two.
He broke it out for me. He could combine it, but it would cost you $75,000 instead of $35,000 and then $40,000.
So if you wanted to, the approval you're looking for is to get the process started. Is there a minimum amount we can move forward with to say, let's say just to take a look at it? I mean, obviously, if we did a third of 16,000, that'd be a lot less than 16,000. At least
it's 18,000 because we're looking at 3 plans. I'm sorry, again, your slides are outdated.
All right,
18,000 for 3 different bridge types. I did not ask him what one bridge type would cost.
Right. Yes, Councilman.
Is there anyone else that you have considered in comparing prices with as far as the engineering study? I know y'all are not a part of the city or committee that's a part of the city, so you don't have to do bids, but I just wonder if you've done any comparison
Have we gone to
prices
any
on
other
engineering.
engineer? No, I haven't. I know that KSA Engineer did a report for the 4B Tax Committee in 2011, so there's a possibility that they could give you a bid.
Well, not for me, but I'm just talking about from your aspect. And
No, we have not approached other engineers.
Councilman Jones has a question.
From the preliminary design and schematic design, is that the point where you submit it to the state for as the bid package? Or do you have to have the construction
Through the
document?
construction documents.
You have to have the construction document completed before you submit it for the grant?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes,
So you'd have to commit to the whole ball.
93,000, yeah.
Unless we can get them down to one design and save a little money there. I was on the 4B committee and we studied the bridges a lot, and about the only thing we backed off on, the reason was because of the cost. We were looking at $600,000 or $800,000 to build a bridge, and we'd have to eat all of that. And that was about the time when we lost a lot of our sales tax revenue because of oil and gas disappeared. But one document that I managed to pull up out of the archives was an action plan for 2000 to 2003 developed by the citizens of this community. And there's a bunch of names in the back that these people aren't even alive anymore, one of them is. But it was economic development, and the goal statement was to increase the tax base through a variety of economic development programs and draw new industry. We're working on that all the time. Develop the downtown area potential, including the Biloxi Riverwalk, Town Square, and Courthouse Park. Well, including that, they wanted to rebuild one of the low water dams down there. Now, this is also in conjunction with, they wanted a water plan for the whole county. And in that interim period, we built the lake out there, we built the weir, we've got a reservoir down there where we pump water up the porch to the reservoir. So all that got incorporated. This has been a pretty good document to see our progress and what we planned out. To develop the downtown, I'm in favor of a bridge down there. And I would dare say to think that the Gartrell property that's been developed in there for housing right now, which is adding to our property values, wouldn't have been built down there if we didn't have a Riverwalk. I'm just thinking that. And you may have put it down there anyway, but it certainly adds to the value of their housing development. So would it add actually money to our downtown or to our coffers because of increased traffic? No, but we've been doing a lot of things right in Glen Rose as far as bringing people here for the last 30 years. And this is just one more gem. I think we could certainly risk a little bit of money to see if we can get the grant money and finish it out.
Any other comments from council? At this time, we will go to the audience. If someone from the audience would like to come and comment on this agenda item, you can come to the podium, state your name and your residence.
My name is Sue Oldenburg, I live at 609 Nancy Drive. I think the bridge is a wonderful idea. However, the cost is astronomical. And Ms. Drake, I admire all you've done and all your committee do, but I beg to differ with you. The money from TxDOT is not a gift. It is still our tax dollar. We may be getting it back, but it's money we paid. It is not a gift. And I have yet to ever see a shovel-ready job. I know that we did a study back in 10 or 11 from, I think it was Sparks. I tried to find it, couldn't locate it to this morning. An engineering study on the bridges. Is none of that any good anymore? We spent, there again, $27,000, $30,000 on it from the 4B or Glen Rose Economic. Is that study absolutely no use for that, or cannot part of that be used? I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't know. But it's $30,000 of our tax dollar that was used that I wonder. And I also wonder if any studies have been done on how much each individual that would use the Riverwalk, visitor, spends in our town at our local businesses. Do you have any answers? Thank you. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Sue. Someone
You
else?
want me to answer that?
I guess we have to come back to the podium.
I did include the KSA engineering report in my presentation, and it is available for all of you to look at. It's a very preliminary report, but I did glean the useful information from that report.
Someone else from the audience like to come and comment? Yes, ma'am. State your name and your address, please. Podium.
Jane Young, 205 Grace Street. I own property right at the end of Grace Street where the pedestrian bridge is probably going to connect with downtown. And as a property owner, I'm really looking forward to this project coming about. And as Dr. Jones was speaking about the vision that the council had a few years ago on the overall picture that you have for that area, I think that I'm hearing that you're committed to the bridge, but the hesitation is the money. And I'd have to say that 70% off sounds pretty doggone good. If you know that you can get that much money to build or do something, then the other part of it, I think it's just a matter of stepping out and going with the vision that you have for that area to begin with. And as property owner, I would think that everybody on Gray Street and around the downtown area, property values are going to go up, and it is going to be part of what your overall vision is for the downtown area. And maybe it is up to you guys to promote it more, and thinking of ways in which that area could be used to actually bring in money.
Thank you, Mrs. Young. Someone else like to comment? I've got to get the audience first.
Just a little bit of levity.
Oh,
Yeah, Ms. Young, if we raise your property values, you're not going to complain, right?
Well, I mean, I like it when I sell, not maybe when I'm living there.
anyone else have a comment? Coming back to the council, I would like to say I concur with Councilman Ramsey and Councilman Bryant. And I would like to take Mr. Jones' comment, risking some money. I think we need to risk some money. I would like to see something, some way to save the old Ed Young gas station. I'd like to see money go toward that to purchase that way, create a park. Myself, to me, that's a priority. I'd like to see us risk some money and spend some money on a playground in Oakdale Park. Spend some money on developing the 5 acres we bought next to Oakdale Park. Again, risking the money to take care of the retention pond for the Nancy Drive drainage issue. I was at a woman's home a few months ago when her home flooded again. And I would like to see everyone's street curbed and guttered in this city. Man, the Riverwalk's beautiful. I take pictures of it. I think the bridge would be great. But we do have to look at priorities and look at where things need to go on the list at this time, I believe. Then I would assume I would be looking for some sort of a motion on item number 2 at this time for the funding of the engineering of a Texas Department of Transportation pedestrian bridge.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion from Councilman Jones on the funding for the engineering of a Texas Department of Transportation pedestrian bridge.
May I wait for a second?
Sure. Yes, sir.
My question is, the preliminary design. If we focus this on one particular bridge, if we said, let's cut this cost, that would be where I would move to. A prefabricated bridge, I'm all for that. You know, that's the minimum cost bridge. That's us saying, you know what, it's compromised. Let's shoot for something that feasible, that works, that's going to develop a form of transportation across the river, and maybe some economic development or an amenity for the citizens. But to move forward and to spend excess money where I don't, obviously it's probably not the direction we need to go. To me, that's wasting a little bit of extra money that we don't have to. So if we could cut costs, that would be the direction I'd like to go. Is that something that would be?
I'm not sure at this time with what's on the agenda if that's can be entertained in that. Brady, would
I think y'all can discuss considering action you want to take on the item, so you want to direct this group to do a different engineering study, that's fine. It's part of the project.
We have no substantial amount of cost. We're still in a big question about that. To move forward and get a preliminary design for all 3, we're going to pick one. And with the direction we're headed, why not just take the lowest one and just shoot for that? That's my way of thinking.
Councilman Jones?
I know one of the issues with that we had the last go-around on the bridge was the displacement of water, and there had to be mitigation associated with that. I know if you put piers into the Flexi Riverbed, you're going to displace a lot more. To take away land on either side of the river, you're going to find a lot of opposition, probably in the Commissioner's Court on some people. And that was one of the things we ran into, and some of those people are still there. So that would be one of the obstacles, to say you want to go on the least cost
Councilman Ramsey?
Yes, going along with what Councilman Jones said, I was on the 4B during all that time too, and our biggest obstacle at that point was the Commissioners Court giving the property for us to put it on, and that's another concern.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor at this point for funding of the engineering of the Texas Department of Transportation pedestrian bridge as presented by Margaret Gray. Would that be correct?
Mayor, that's for the $93,000.
For the $93,000. Do I have a motion for a second on that? Okay, I have no second, so that would die for lack of a second. Item number 2.